Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I have loaded up the original Viking Blood. You know, the original, where my beard was much longer and covered my entire face, and my hair, well, it wasn't shaved on the sides like it is now. It was a lot longer, and I probably had a hat on, I think, so you probably didn't see the hair. But we're gonna watch that, and we're gonna make fun of it because it's a funny video, and there's a lot of little things that got things started. But this is actually our very first Mead video on City Steading, and to this day, it's still our most watched Mead video on City Steading. So, without further ado, I'm going to hit the play button, and if people have questions while we're watching it, I'm going to stop it, and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to go from there. Okay? So that's the way we're going to do this. I don't know. I'm just making this up as I go along. And if anybody gets nasty, you have to deal with Adam. So there. We ready?
Hi, and today I'm making Viking Blood. Now, it's me.
Now let me stop it right there. Hi, and today we're making Viking Blood. I didn't even say who I was. All this time, I never introduced myself. Like, what the heck, guys? And, okay, you know what? The beard, yeah, not working for me. I don't like it. I like this one so much better. You guys can see my mouse cursor, right? So I can, like, point around and stuff. I wish I could annotate. It'd be pretty funny to draw on there. Yeah, see? Mead Monster, he knows. I look 10 years older in these.
But made with cherries. And I'm going to teach you how to do it in under 10 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, wow, the old intro. We stopped using that after like a month, I think.
Hi, I'm Brian from City Steading.
Oh, I said my
And I
name.
want to remind you something so you don't miss any of our videos. Make sure to subscribe and hit that little bell. That way you'll be notified every time.
And yes, before anybody says anything, as was pointed out to me by about 5,000 people when we were getting comments on this video, yeah, I'm using an AirPod. You know why? It's the microphone, because it's connected to an iPad. That's like a few feet over. That's doing the recording. And that's how we did things in the very beginning. Believe it or not, we recorded on an iPad or an iPhone, and we used um, AirPods or whatever microphone we happen to have handy, and that's how we did things. I even did the editing on an iPad, and we didn't normalize volumes. Yeah, I I try to now. I sometimes do.
Time we make something new. And while I have your attention, today I'm making Viking Blood, which is really mead. Mead is honey, water, and yeast. But then if you add fruit, it becomes a melomel, so it's honey, water, fruit, and yeast. And this one's made with cherries, so that's why it's Viking Blood. It's like from way, 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 way back. Not to be confused with this, which is
Yeah, this recipe is actually from the 1300s. I don't know that I actually said it in the video, but the recipe is from the 1300s. Now, here's a little thing that you should know. I found references to cherry mead from the 1300s, and there was no specific country, there was no specific anything, but there were references to cherry mead. So some of this was kind of guessing and putting it together, and that's just what we do around here. So basically, if you see a cherry mead video and they call it Viking Blood, we kind of invented that. Sort of. Not really, because it really is Viking Blood, and that is really the name of it. But the actual recipe done this way was kind of all our idea. I'm going to play now.
I think you pronounce that blood. I don't know. I speak English, and I even do that pretty poorly sometimes. I'm sure this is a fine product. I mean, we own it, so how, it must be good. But they're not the same thing
Notice
at
it's not
all.
even
So
open.
if you were looking for that, I'm sure there's other videos on YouTube that explain how to make this. I'm not making this today. I'm making real Viking blood. Sorry to all the people who really like the other one. Now, being a mead, this doesn't require a lot of ingredients, but it does require some equipment and things like that. I'm going to give you a full description.
What you want to watch as you're watching this video is look at the top of the cabinets. Notice how not straight they are. And over time, it will go lower and lower because the arm that was holding up the iPad is actually drooping as we speak. Hey, Boss Stomp TV.
Of everything I use below in the description, and as well as all the quantities and things like that. So you can just sit back and relax. Everything's covered. First, we want to talk about sanitation. Now, back in the day, they didn't know a thing about sanitation. They actually thought that the stirring stick was magic. I'm not kidding. They didn't know what yeast was. So all they knew is that if they used this certain stick, it attracted the wild yeast, and that caused fermentation faster than if they just left an open vat walking around in the house. That's really how they made mead. Not anymore today. Today, you
Yeah, they literally had like an open vat right in the kitchen that they would add stuff to, and it was like a continual process. They didn't actually rack it off like we do today. It just kind of kept on fermenting, and they would just scoop some out, put it in a bottle or a mug, and drink it. And it was just like an open vat fermentation all the time. Really, really crazy. Sigurd Alemaker, hello from the UK. Well, actually, you're in the UK. We're in the Americas. So, hello, UK from the Americas. Yeah, let's go with that.
want to use Star Sand. There's a lot of other really great products. And what you do, you just soak everything in there, everything you're going to use, every funnel, every little piece of equipment, anything you're going to use, put it in there. What I suggest, keep a big bucket or your sink full of it, because I always forget something. I'm thinking everybody else will too. A couple things you want to do before you start this is you want to take your honey, which we're using 3 pounds, two 24-ounce containers today. You want to put that in like hot water, not really boiling. I don't like to boil my honey. Some people do. Yeah.
So, did anybody else catch that? I just said we're using 3 pounds, two 24-ounce containers. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Because that's 48 ounces divided by 16 is 3. Yeah, I'm sorry. Natural blonde here.
Yeah, I don't. I want to warm it so that it pours easy. And I'm using frozen cherries. Now, you could use fresh ones. Totally good. You got to pull all those pits and everything. It's a little bit of a pain. But the frozen cherries, I got them at
Not if you have a
Publix. It's
food mill.
awesome. 3 pounds of frozen cherries. Look at that. See, that looks like blood.
Did
That's
it?
where they get the
Frozen
name
cherries.
from.
You can still get
Blood
pits
and
in
maybe
not
entrails. I don't
frozen
know.
cherries.
Anyway, so you want to mash these up real good. The more you mash the cherries, the more juice you get out, the more
Oh, yeah.
flavor you get into the meat. Okay?
Derek had just said something important. We used to fill the sink with Star Sand, and that's where we did it. I don't recommend doing that. That's what turbos is for. That's what buckets are for. Do it that way. Trust me, your sink will appreciate it. Now you can dump it down your sink. Just leave the water running so it dilutes it that much more. It shouldn't harm anything, but the idea of putting it in your sink for long term is probably not a good idea.
Okay, one other thing that you might want to do before you get started is take a little bit of water and put your yeast in that in a cup. I got one right here, and that's called hydrating the yeast. Um,
Check out that movement of the camera. That's Derica. Apparently, it's not on the arm anymore. She's actually controlling it. Also, a word about the hydrating yeast. We don't do that anymore. We just, it didn't really make all that much difference, and it just complicated things for no reason. So we don't bother hydrating anymore.
I'll have the type of yeast that I'm using. It's a Lalvin KV and a bunch of numbers.
Yeah, it's Lalvin K1V1116, not KIV. This is kind of cringeworthy.
I forget, but it's good to 18%, and it's really good for taking the fruity flavors in meats. It'll be in the description. Sorry about it. Next step, put it all together. We got our fermentation vessel here. It says ale pail on it. Forget that. Today it's a mead bucket. Now, this is a food grade.
We actually still have those. We use them for making beer and other things. We made Fey wine in one of those, I think. We don't really use it all that much. Yep, Adam's right. We did actually mention that it's basically just an extra step for no reason.
Grade bucket. You want to make sure that whatever you use is food grade. A lot of people will ferment in carboys. I did too, until just recently I learned something really, really interesting. By doing it in this, I have more oxygen. I can get to it much easier, and I like to do 1 gallon batches because, I get bored and want something new after like a week. So having, 5 gallons of something laying around is just way too much for me. So we do 1 gallon.
Actually, we do 1 gallons simply because, well, we make so many brews. We'd never get through them all. We have bottles and bottles everywhere all over this house as it is. We don't really need to have more. But I have a point here. The open fermentation gets more oxygen in the beginning, especially when you have a fruit cap, so you can stir it up and that kind of thing. So that's not completely wrong. But I still go to the 1 gallon almost all the time if possible, even to this day. And I don't like plastic.
But if you do 1 gallon and you fill it half with cherries that you have to remove, now you only end up with like half a gallon of stuff. Well, that kind of sucks. So I've started doing this just recently. I'm going to put everything in here, and that way I can fill it up to wherever it ends up, as long as it's not more than 5 gallons. And I'm going to have 1 gallon of product at the end. Makes sense, right? So
I would like to point out that I am very proud of the quality of audio that we make now compared to then. Oh my God, this is horrible. Like this just sounds so bad, and then it like cuts in and out sometimes. Oh, how things have changed.
we're going to start. This is very technical, so pay attention. Cherries in the bucket. I'm wearing a red shirt on purpose because I didn't want to get any on me.
Okay. Does everybody get that joke? Because when I said it, people gave me a hard time about it. They were like, "You're still gonna get it on you even though it's a red shirt." No, kidding. It's called a joke. Anyway.
And I'm using a spatula because these are not cheap. And this is where a lot of your flavor is coming from. So I'm just trying to scoop all the goodness out of there and get every bit of cherry juice. And I'm sorry, this is really hard to get on camera. But you can see that. All right. I think that's enough. I'll put that to the side. Give you a view down the bucket if you want to see it.
And a
Looks
view of our
like
kitchen.
blood to me. And I'm pretty sure.
All right, I'm sorry, but let me rewind that a little. I said looks like blood to me. If your blood looks like that, you need to see a doctor because blood should not look like that. That's that looks like yeah, that no. If your blood looks like that, go see a doctor, please, as soon as possible.
Blood to me. And I'm pretty sure Vikings had red blood too. I mean, they're just people after all. Now comes the honey. Now I'm using clover honey. You can use wildflower if you really want to, but here's the thing. If you use a stronger flavor of honey, it could overpower the cherries. This is called a cherry mead, not a mead cherry. So you want the cherry to really come forward, right? So I warmed it.
Wait a minute. A cherry mead, not a mead cherry. Sometimes I need to pre-edit the stuff that comes out of my mouth because that doesn't even make any sense. But I don't know. That's kind of funny. And I'm not wrong here, except that clover can somewhat be a little bit of a strong flavor. So really, wildflower is probably a little more appropriate. Though wildflower varies from region to region, so it could be anything. But basically, anytime you make a mellow, you're overpowering that flavor. It doesn't really matter what kind of honey you use at that point. It's going to overpower it, and it's just going to become something all its own.
It so it does this. Look at that. See, it just pours right out. It's going to take about an hour to get all that in there. I'm not going to show you what it looks like in here now. You don't want to see it.
It's honey.
What I am going to
with
do, though,
cherries.
as soon as these stop dripping all over the place on me, stop making a mess. Come on, stop. I am going to pour some water. Now, this is reverse osmosis water.
Did you catch that? Did you see the hair? I'll go back up. Where is it?
I am going to pour.
Look at that. I actually have hair on the back of my head. I don't think I've had hair on the back of my head in like 3 years. Well, not since this, pretty much. And somebody was commenting about the earrings. I had earrings way back then. See it? It's right there. There's one on the other side, too. Actually, there's one there, and there's one there, and there's another one on the other side. Now I only wear one.
Pour some water. Now, this is reverse osmosis water. You can use.
I have since learned that reverse osmosis water isn't necessarily the best water to be using for brewing because a lot of the minerals have been removed. Now, if you have one of the fancy schmancy type of RO units that puts the minerals back in, by all means, use your fancy schmancy RO unit. Ours is not a fancy schmancy unit, therefore, It's not suggested to use that. So we actually put in a whole house filter soon after this, and now we just use that. You really just don't want chlorine. That's the big deal. But if the water's good enough to drink, it's good enough to brew with.
Any filtered type water. I mean, any good water. Basically, you don't want chlorine, and you don't want crap in it. Like you don't want fluoride and all that crazy stuff. So if your tap water smells kind of iffy, don't use that. Use filtered water. I'm just giving this a little bit of a shake. Get most of that honey out. You can never get all of that. And of course, you pour anything less than hot water in there, it crystallizes the honey and makes it that much harder. Just get a little bit in there.
This was
Shake
before
it
I
up real
understood
good.
editing, like at all.
Pour it in. Okay. Now, as you can see, if you look at the side
Those
here,
cuts.
that's where the level is. It's almost up to a gallon already. However, I want a
How's that for
gallon
some
of
headspace?
product when it's done. So I'm actually going to fill this with a full gallon of water. Well, what's left of the gallon from what I did already. So that's right here. Again, I sanitized this pitcher. Everything's been sanitized. And as I fill this up, see that level? It's almost up to 2 gallons. But remember one thing, in about a week, maybe 10 days, I'm going to have to remove all these cherries. So it's not going to be 2 gallons, all right? Spoon, sanitized spoon. Stir this up. That honey still has to blend together.
This
This
is
might take
before
a
the
minute.
spoon of unusual
Now,
size.
one thing while you're doing this is yeast is pretty specific. It doesn't like to be too hot.
I want you to notice something as this video goes on. Watch my eyes. Look at where I'm looking. Because if you use an iPad or an iOS device, the lens is actually in a different spot than what you see on the screen. So I'm looking at the picture on the screen, not at the camera. And that drives me nuts. And now that I've told you that, you guys can't unsee it. You will see that forever in all those videos.
Hot, doesn't like to be too cold. That's why you keep it in the fridge until you're ready to use it, and you don't drop it into boiling water because it'll die. You want this to be somewhere in the like 60 to 90 degree range.
You really want more like the 70 to 75 degree range. Let's be honest, guys. 60 is too cold, 90 is probably a little warm.
If it's more than 110, you're killing your yeast. If it's below 60, they're not going to be as active, so it's not as good. I know in Nordic lands they probably did it in 50 degrees. Well, guess what? We don't have to worry about that. Unless you live somewhere where it's 50 degrees, well, then make do. So I'm just going to use my handy dandy little temp gun here.
If you live somewhere where it's 50 degrees all the time, you probably put your heat on. You know, I can only imagine the people that live where it gets that cold put the heat on at 50 degrees. I put it on at 50 degrees. I put it on at 60 degrees. You kidding?
And mine's coming out at 72 degrees, which means inside it's probably a little bit better than that.
By the way, you guys can talk too. It's awful quiet in this chat. I'm feeling kind of lonely here, like I'm the only one talking.
The only reason why it would be too cold is because I used frozen cherries that had to sit out for a long time. I was shocked. After 2 hours, they were still 17 degrees. Crazy. Anyway, so now they're not frozen anymore. Everything's in here. The next thing we're going to do is take what's called a gravity reading. And that's how we figure out how much alcohol is
Specific
going to be
gravity
in our
reading.
final mead. Okay, so what I did is I filled up this measuring tube. This has a spigot on it, but it was kind of complicated to show on camera. And all I did is I filled up a tube. I didn't really think it needed to be documented that highly. Anyway, the next thing we're going to do is a hydrometer.
Okay, Sigurd Alemaker. Imperial measurements are just crazy to me. Well, okay. 2 gallons is, well, a U.S. gallon is 3.785 liters. So 2 gallons would be, Alexa, what is 2 times 3.785?
2 times 3.75 is 7.5.
No kidding, I didn't ask for that. I asked for something else. Okay, Alexa never hears me right, but it's like almost 8 liters.
Reading. Now, I like to use a hydrometer because I was using a refractometer for a long time. I found out that once alcohol is in there, refractometers are wrong. So I just make it hydrometer readings all the time. It's simple. It makes me feel like a mad scientist, and it's just, it's something fun. So what you do is you put this in,
Oh, that
and
was the
hopefully I
days of
won't
the
overfill
big,
it.
stupid tube. It took forever to
And
fill.
there's readings down the side. Oh, look at that. Here we are. Okay, so once you put that in, it floats to to a certain level, and there's a gravity reading on here that you can read, and this is reading 1084, 1.084, which if I even look at this, it tells me what that can come out to. Somewhere in the, it's going to be like maybe 13, 14% alcohol when it's finished.
I
So,
actually used the
that's
potential
pretty
alcohol.
reasonable. It was supposed to be a little bit higher, but I actually used a touch more water in here than I really should have, so it diluted it just slightly, but it's okay. Now, some people throw this away. I'm not some people. This was sanitized
One of my favorite moments in all of our videos right there. Let me replay that for you.
slightly, but it's okay. Now, some people throw this away. I'm not some people. This was sanitized. It's clean.
Is it bad that I'm laughing at
Okay,
myself? I mean,
the
in a
next
good
thing you
way,
want to do
but.
is make sure, and this is why
But
we
holy crap, look at the gut. Did you see that? That's just wrong.
use a big bucket. You get some air in here, okay? I stirred it good before, but I'm going to stir it rough. I want air in there. The first couple days of any fermentation, you want oxygen in your must. You know what must is, right? This is must. Same like wine, because technically mead is honey wine. So this is honey cherry wine, right? Okay, the only thing that's left is to put in the yeast. Now, if you listen to what I said to do, you have yeast over here hydrating in some water. See how it's all cloudy and, right? Great. So what we want to do is mix that up a little bit. Don't get anything on the bottom. And then pour it in.
Wait, Derica, what's still used to this day? I don't use the potential alcohol. No, and I don't use the big stupid cylinder anymore. We have a smaller one now. And yes, this is coming up on 3 years old. I think in April it'll be 3 years old.
This is called pitching the yeast. I'm not going to do like, never mind.
I don't even
Just
know what
get
I
it
was
in there.
thinking with that.
If there was any little extras, make sure you get it all in.
I feel like I should have like a little shadow of me up in the corner of the screen, like doing, uh, Mystery Science Theater 3000 or something. Oh, the I'm Not Some People? Oh, yeah, I do that all the time. The Real Swifty. Yes, this is the video that put City Steading on the map. Really, this video got us going and still to this day gets about 500 views a day, which isn't a tremendous amount, but it's actually a lot when you figure it's going on 3 years. So it's closing in on 1 million views real soon.
And I'm going to mix that around again one more time. Get it all in there. Get my lid. As you can tell, this lid is officially made for brewing. It's got the little hole. Put that on top. Now, some people will say
The
you
jokes were
shouldn't put
bad.
a lid on tight.
They haven't
We have
improved since then
cats,
either.
so I disagree with that statement for my house. Now, the final step is once you have your cap on, you have everything in there, to put in an airlock.
Are you ready? Is everybody ready? This is the iconic moment. It's coming. I will wait until somebody tells me that they're ready. Do you have any idea what's about to happen? This is where I wish you guys could speak so I could hear what you think I'm about to say. Okay, Kaku Zatozer is ready. Does anybody know what I'm about to say? Yeah, Adam, I know. Does anybody know what I'm about to say in the video? Oh, come on. Somebody's got to know. That's right, Paul. Something. Somebody made a meme of this way back in the day. Nope, that's not what I'm going to say, Sigurd. You ready? Here we go.
I'm going to talk about this for just a second. What this does is allows the gas, which the yeast is making, to force its way up, push this level down, and push this level up, and then it bubbles through and goes out. Now, some people will say, oh, just put like fabric over it. No. Some people will say, put a balloon on it. No, this is $3.
Two,
You
three
can use
bucks.
it for years. Trust me, a pack of balloons is going to be $3. You get to use them one time. This is better. What it actually does,
I said $3, not $2. I didn't know that. All this time I thought it was $2. Okay, there must be another video where I said $2. It was Mike. Yes, Derica. Mike, one of our mods from way back when. Mr. C678, don't make me block you. No balloons. We have a video about that. Don't use a balloon. Seriously, don't. It's bad. If you knew what they put in those things,
stick it right in here. It prevents bugs that you don't want getting into your stuff.
are there are there any bugs that you do want? That's the real question. Like, do you ever actually want bugs to get into your brew? I don't think so. So that was a weird statement.
Okay? Now, what you want to do also for the first couple of days, give this a shake every once in a while. Maybe
See the swirl. That's the origin of the swirl, and we did it mostly to break up the fruit cap. The real Swifty, yes, it does let air out. It lets the gases out without letting things come back in. It's an S-lock air trap, whatever you want to call it. It's a one-way valve, technically.
you can take the lid off, get some air in there, just like the first 2-3 days tops. Then, you want to make sure you put this in a dark place, even though, yeah, this is opaque. Put it in a dark place, semi-cool.
Thank you for that, Adam.
I like 7.
Paul, hush you. We don't want bee bits in our brew. You're not going to get bees coming in your house, most likely. You're going to get fruit flies, and they're just not a good thing to have in your brew at all.
70 to 72, 74 degrees. Our house gets a little chilly at night, maybe 68, but whatever. It's close enough. I am not one of those people that believes you have to use all these chemicals, you have to use all these preservatives and finings and stuff. If you really want to do that, that's cool. I'm not one of those people, so I just drink stuff that I like to make. Right? Okay. Now, as far as time, there's a couple of steps that have to go with this. This particular batch, because it's mead and has cherries in it, in like a week to 10 days, I gotta get those cherries out of there. Okay? And because I don't want them sitting on it if it got moldy or anything, that's just bad. So I'm gonna take them out. They've given up all they're gonna give.
The real Swifty. You can use cheesecloth if you really want to. In all honesty, though, an airlock works better. I've seen bugs get through cheesecloth. They actually can. But sure, you can do it however you want. I happen to have cats, so if you have children or pets, probably safer to use an airlock. Just saying.
Probably be white even when they come out. It's kind of crazy. So all of their juice is in there. Then I'm going to put this into a carboy. That's when you use carboys for fermentation. And it'll sit in that carboy probably anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks. What it's doing is it's doing the final fermentation. All that yeast is really going to town, and you'll see it. It'll clear out, and it'll drop down, and it'll make this nice layer of lees across the bottom. And the rest is Viking's blood.
Yes, they are. So
I have high hopes for this one. This is my own recipe. I pained over it for days trying to put it together. Derica can attest to that. She was laughing at
said
me.
it's my own recipe.
But I want this to come out a certain way. I'm really fond of cherries. I'm really fond of mead. So I figured, put them together. And then I found out they call it Viking's blood. And I was like, hey, we got to make this. Anyway, so if you like this video, don't forget to give us a like. And up in the corner, you'll see a thing that says subscribe. Hit the subscribe, hit the bell. That way you get to know everything that we do. And I really thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Hello, Stacy. And that is the end of that video. But wow, you know what? We're gonna do a twofer. Let's watch the racking of this, which was possibly the most horrible video we ever made. And let me tell you the story of why. It's because when we made this video, we didn't really expect anything to happen. We made the mead video and kept on going with other stuff, and then the channel just kind of started not doing all that much, and we didn't make videos for like a month or two, and just went, okay, what are we going to do now? And then one day, all of a sudden, my phone started blowing up. New subscribers, all this kind of stuff, and we're like, what the heck is going on? So we checked, and this video was blowing up as a result of Modern Rogue. Modern Rogue put out their own Mead video, which I'm not going to comment on. No matter how much you twist my arm, I'm not going to comment on it. I'm not going to say anything about that video at all, because that video helped to put City Steading on the map. So I'm not going to complain. But anyway, and this video pretty much blew up, got us all of our subscribers that we needed to monetize. So we were like, okay, I guess we need to make a follow-up video for this. We didn't know what to do. Anyway, we're gonna watch the racking video now. As long as everybody's still with me. There we go. Gotta love that intro.
So here we are, pretty much ready to rack this. This is the part 2 of the Viking
background
Blood.
music.
And what I've actually done is I just took a little bit of a reading here, and here you can see
What the heck?
in the tube.
There's so much crap
What it
on the
looks like.
table. Oh, I think this was like around
And
Thanksgiving.
right there,
Yeah, Mother's
you can
Day.
see that,
There it is.
0.998. Yeah, 998, maybe 999 even. It's pretty darn close. I'm gonna call it
What is with the
999 just because I like the
That's
sound of that better.
annoying.
So here we have a really simple setup for racking. And
Adam, you're awesome, by the way. Okay, Mr. C, I'm sorry. The old intro song's not coming back. Here's why. That was with a video editing program that was on my iPad, and I only had the rights to use that song as long as we were using that software, and we don't use it anymore, so I don't have it, and means we can't use it anymore, so we can't do that anymore, and I don't want to have problems with YouTube.
racking, I mean, if you didn't know, it just means taking from one container and putting into another. A
Well,
lot of
don't
time you're
ever
racking
rack-
off of lease, which is like the
I don't ever rack like this. Oh, hey Corey. By the way, don't ever rack your mead like this. This is a horrible way to rack your mead. By the way, there is that Tigger's bowl or is that Fawn's bowl on the floor? I think that's Fawn's bowl.
yeast at the bottom, or in this case, I'm getting the cherries out. I'll open the bucket in a little bit so you can see that. But real simple, I just use this bucket that has a spigot on it and open it up and let it flow. Now,
So
it's
not
not
only
going to go all
do
the
I
way
do
to
it
the
this
bottom,
way,
and
I
that's
filmed
okay,
it.
because I'm going to just tip it up a little bit so I can get the rest of that. But as you can see, it's just flowing into the bottle. Real simple. Look at that
Don't
color.
ask me why I
Nice
decided
and
to do it
cherry
this
red.
way.
That's exactly what
I guess
it should
I
be.
was feeling lazy.
And this is what we racked off of. This is basically all the dead cherries and lots of the
cherries.
yeast, and
As if
there might be a
I-
little bit of mead in the bottom there, but I'm really not going to worry about it. Now, I did pull it to the side and everything, so I got some yeast in there, but that's okay because this is bulk aging / secondary or even tertiary fermentation at this point.
What the heck?
And there you see, we have it all in a new bottle, packed off. Now, I know some people are going to have a problem.
So that was started on April 26th. And this is 2021. So that was April 26th of 2018. And here we are. I racked it. This is 5/11. So that is literally like 16 days in. Yeah, I don't think it was done. Well, 999 it was done. Weird.
Problem with the amount of headspace that's in there. The way I see it, I got that yeast all active again. So I think there's a good amount of carbon dioxide in there. I'm not too worried. But here,
Horrible amount of headspace. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Don't ever do that. Oh my God. And yeah, Paul, you're right. I splashed it all over the place. I did everything wrong, yet it didn't ruin it anyway. So, as much as we like to tell people don't do it, it probably isn't going to be a problem.
here we go. Here's my notes. Started on April 26th. Here we are, 5/11, May 11th, and it's at 0.999. Now, if you're curious, that's 11.2% alcohol right now. So that's not too bad. I could actually stop it right here. You know, just let it kind of settle out, do its thing, because right now it's a little cloudy. You know, I'm not really worried about it getting any stronger. I don't really think it's going to. I think the fermentation is pretty much done. But at this point, it'll just start to clear out a little bit better and in time become an amazing Viking's Blood mead. Alright guys, that's it for the racking video. Sorry this one was kind of quick and down and dirty, just showing you everything that we do.
I think it's the shortest
And
video we've ever
we'll see you
made.
next time.
Okay, now I gotta find. I should find the tasting video, and we'll watch that. Everybody still with me? Anybody want to see the next video? The next video? I mean, if we're not doing anything, you know, I'm up for it. Oh, we have our different setup. Oh boy. My, how things have changed. If we thought the last one was, yeah, Sigurd, be glad that you missed that video. I never made a big deal about it once it went up. Yeah, thanks, Corey. This is the next cringeworthy video. By the way, the shirt that I'm wearing that says "Stop petting my peeves," I don't wear that in videos anymore, and here's why. Someone told me they will never listen to a guy wearing that shirt. And I was like, okay, so is your problem with the shirt, or is it with a guy wearing that shirt? I don't think they completely understood, but it is kind of an offensive shirt, so, you know, I get it. And Derica, yes, I'm not going to. Oh, let's not even bring up the old background again. Come on. I don't need to put a camera in the fridge in order to make videos, because that's pretty much how it had to happen. Things have changed. Let's just leave it at that. But anyway, you ready to watch the video? Because here it comes. Let me rewind it the whole way. Come on.
Hi, I'm Brian.
I'm Derica.
Do it.
And you are watching City Steading.
Oh boy.
You get that joke if you watched the last video.
Oh boy.
So here we are.
Whoa.
This is a
It's
big
a thing,
requested
guys.
video that I didn't expect to be a big request. This is my very fancy labeling of Viking Blood. Now, what we're going to do, because it's already bottled, as you can tell, it's in a bottle, we're going to taste it. And we're going to tell you all the stuff that I did wrong.
As you can tell, it's in a bottle. Seriously? That's how I say things. But notice the beard. The beard looks good. I gotta admit, I think I had just gotten a haircut just before this video. And I'm looking a little chunky here. This is, wow. Because this is only a few weeks later, I think.
Wrong. Not the stuff that other people told me in the comments that I did wrong. All the stuff that I know I did wrong, that I would have done differently, that I would have actually done. Not some of the stuff that people suggested. Like, I'm not putting chemicals. I don't do any of that stuff. Let me explain. People have been making mead and alcohol for 5,000 years. I mean, I heard this statement today. Mead is the OG of alcohol. I just thought that was awesome because it's like the first alcohol.
That is where that line comes from for the t-shirt. I thought that was really awesome. Somebody actually said that to me. I forget who. It might have even been Kenny way back in the day. Somebody left that as a comment on one of our videos, and I was like, that's fucking cool. Oop. That's cool. And we just started using it. And actually, the Real Swift, no, it is not empty. There's much less on it, but it is not empty.
Alcohol man ever made, okay? So they literally took some honey and some water, poured it in a big pot, and left it out. And it made mead, and they drank it, and they lived to tell the story. When you take it from that level, anything that we do today is going to be better than that, okay? They literally didn't understand how yeast worked. It was a lambic, because it was just all wild yeast. They thought the stick that they stirred it with was magic.
Okay, it was not a lambic. Lambic is a specific type of beer, and it's made in a specific area of Austria, so it cannot actually be alembic. It's just a wild ferment. I don't know why I said lambic, but let's just forget that. Probably because we were drinking framboise alembic just a couple days before then.
Magical. In a way, they were kind of right, because the yeast would get embedded in that stick and it got passed down from generation to generation, and with each successive batch that they made, more yeast got embedded, so they actually had a better strain of yeast working on their mead. Neat, right? They called it a magic stick. I got a comment today, somebody asked if I used a magic spoon. I thought that was awesome. I said maybe it is, maybe it isn't, I don't know. Anyway, so the general gist is this. We made the Viking Blood. When I first tasted it, when I was getting ready to rack it, it wasn't good. In hindsight, I think it was better than I thought it was at the time.
Huh? Is that really what I said?
In hindsight, I think it was better than I thought it was at the time. But what I did was
Somebody learned how to reverse the video. Check that out.
we racked it. I let that sit for several more weeks. And then I got some tart cherry juice. Now that word tart, that's the important part, because all the cherries that were put in this were tart cherries, not sweet cherries. So in my head, I'm thinking, ooh, cherry juice. When I tasted it, it didn't taste like cherries to me. In hindsight, now thinking, if I thought tart cherries in my head, it would taste like tart cherries. Kind of like if you've ever had a hard cider, a dry hard cider. If you think it's going to taste like Angry Orchard or some of the other stuff out there, no. But if you think beer and then drink that hard cider, it tastes really good, because that's more of what it tastes like, is beer. It's a little more bitter, it's not as sweet, and that's what this turned out to be, kind of that idea. It's still got some sweetness to it, but it's actually got that strong
Hello, One Punch Hutch.
cherry tart flavor with the honey as a backbone. So anyway, I'm going to open the bottle. We're going to pour some, and we're going to drink while you guys watch. Sorry, we don't have taste-o-vision. Otherwise, I'd totally share this with you. We have several bottles.
We still don't have taste division. We need to work on that.
You hear there was a little bit of a fizz there. A lot of the time, if I don't degas like for hours and hours and hours, a little bit of CO2 stays dissolved in there. We had a bottle of wine that was sparkling wine. We didn't know. Friend opened it up and it just went all over the place. And yes, it really went all over the place. Anyway, I'm going to be a gentleman. Pour hers first.
See? All these people.
Now you want to be careful whenever you do a homemade brew like this, because you're always... I can pour more if you want. It depends how much you want to drink. You're always going to have a little bit of sediment at the bottom. So you want to be very careful and make sure that the neck of your bottle doesn't go too high. Like, don't just dump it, no matter what vessel you're putting it into. Now, the first thing I want to say is the color on this stuff is really awesome. I mean, it really looks, it's a blood red. It's a strong, strong red color. It's really nice. By the way, don't you love the New Orleans glasses? These are for whiskey, but this isn't whiskey.
That's
Wait.
whiskey.
We should toast. Sláinte. She says other words. So,
She says other
when you
words.
smell it,
It smells like cherry.
thanks, it's very helpful. Actually has a really strong cherry smell, way more than it did. Now, something to remember, this was bottled on the 13th of July. However, I think it was started back in March or April, so it's been sitting for quite some time. It sat in the full carboy for weeks, just because I wanted to give it more age and let it sit and let it get better and better and better. And I think the age really did help this tremendously.
By the way, that's an interesting question. What is the age of a brew? Is it the date you started it, or is it the date you bottled it? And I've been putting both on our bottles lately, because I feel like, well, really the day it was started. Because what if it sat in conditioning for like a year, and then we bottled it? Does that mean it's really only a day old? No, it's a year old already. So, I don't know. I've been kind of doing both, just to have an idea.
But anyway, the on the nose, Strong cherry. I mean, I still it's almost like take tart cherries and honey mixed together, which shocker, right?
Ooh,
But
that
yeah,
was a
I totally get
special
that.
effect.
Get a little bit
Did you see that? I put a little wow thing. Special effects. Yep. The editing has begun.
of alcohol smell too. I estimate this as 10%. It might be 11 or 12. It's hard to say because of all the extra juicing I did and the fruits. I didn't.
Yeah, all this extra juicing and stuff that we added that isn't even on camera because we didn't expect anybody was going to watch it, so I didn't actually show it. That's part of why we redid this video as like Viking Blood Part 2 because we didn't really expect people to watch, so we kind of screwed it all up.
I didn't really feel like going through a whole calculation, so I put 10% on the bottle.
We recently did a tour of France through wines class.
Adam, I can agree with that, but I like having both. You know, it's just one of those things like it was started on this date and bottled on this date, basically. So I have both. And the Real Swifty, 100 liters going. That's kind of impressive for only a couple of months.
And I found out some interesting things. I learned a lot in that class. And one of the things that I learned is that I really don't like French wine. No offense to the glorious nation of France. But
Smells like feet.
It's
That was the origin of the foot smell. That's where this came from. We took a class on winemaking or wine tasting at Total Wine and More, and really all it was a bunch of old people that paid to be able to drink publicly and think they were being all hoity and fancy. It was really weird. It was just so strange. They're all going, "Oh yes, this is a fine thing." And I'm just like, seriously? This is horrible. This is crappy wine. This isn't even good. Every single thing that we have made at home, except maybe for the stuff that had the lime leaves in it, every single thing we made was better than anything that they served us that day. And they're telling us, "Oh, this is this kind of..." I'm like, it's all crap. It tasted like foot.
That's what you can say.
I know. The more and more we were drinking, the more my notes and profiles were.
Stacy, 50... Oh, that's right. I remember you saying that. 55 gallons. Oh, my God. Wow. Adam, yeah. Wow, 2 years. Cool.
Everything was
various
in reference to
to
how much feet it
feet.
smelled like.
Yeah.
Not
So
as much like feet.
Does anybody remember the toe scale that we actually did in like one video? Derica spent like 2 days making up this toe scale with all these things, and we used it in one video, and I went, "Are we promoting a bad connotation here?" So we stopped doing it. Stacy, I hope you have lots of friends that like your wine. Otherwise, you're drinking a lot of wine. Yes, we actually do have quite a few, because I don't like them. So I'm not really drinking the ones with the lime leaves in them. But the pomegranate one actually worked with the lime leaves in it. It was actually pretty good.
when this
Something like
was
feet.
very green before Brian continued his augmentation.
By the way, notice the lighting. What you have here is our kitchen lighting and an open window over here to the left that now we cover up because you see that little white spot on her face and a white spot on her arm? That's called a blowout. And they irritate me. That's a bad thing in photography. It doesn't look good. Now we use actual lights. We turn off the kitchen lights and use lights with umbrellas.
Of this, it did
It was
have a strong foot note.
Here's
But
the word
now-
for that term, I think.
And that's why he's making fun of me for me saying that it smelled like cherries. I'm not getting any of that
Yeah.
foot
Yeah, it's gone.
note.
Yes, Corey, you're right. It's pre-blackout curtain. We actually got a blackout curtain for that window just to make sure that that didn't happen.
And that sulfur dioxide sometimes gets it's residual in the liquid, and that's why age it starts to come out. But there's also different reactions that happen and things like that. But the sulfur dioxide will actually give it that weird footy smell and sometimes taste. It comes out a lot in hard ciders, not so much in meads in my experience, but it does happen.
You do get a little bit of the alcohol scent, but it's not a strong
No, it's not
phenolic.
overpowering.
It's not like fingernail polish remover or anything like that. Some of the really strong stuff, you'll smell it, and that's
Right.
all you get in the nose is that alcohol scent.
I could really put my nose in there. It's no big deal.
Yeah, this is
Then
nice.
again, this is weaker than whiskey, so I'm fine.
But I really do get the cherry and then the honey and then a little bit of the alcohol.
I'm tasting it.
All right.
Wow, if you let it sit in your mouth for a minute, it really
The short taste
is.
and the long
It's
taste.
cherry, but that honey is still there. This is actually really good.
But if you notice in our high class labeling here, I did put tart cherry.
That is one thing that has not changed. We still do the high class labeling of masking tape. It's just so darn convenient. And honestly, we drink this stuff fast enough and it doesn't really leave our house that I'm not going to bother. But we do have a couple of bottles that Derica made fancy labels for, and we still have them.
Right on the label,
Yeah,
because that's that psychological thing. If you just read cherry and you
think this is
think sweet cherry, when you taste this, it's really going to
You're not
be
gonna like
a
it.
shock to the system. You're going to be like, "Whoa, what is?" Because your cheeks
It's got-
kind of pucker in because it's got that sharp tartness.
What's interesting is I used frozen cherry, so I used the whole cherry, the except for the.
Actually, Corey, we do not use ring lights. I'm using a ring light right now to light me on the camera, but we normally don't use those. We actually use umbrellas. That's what you're seeing as the reflections and things. It's actually 2 umbrellas. We had 1 for a while, and then we switched to 2, and now it's always 2.
Pits. They were pitted, but it had the skins and the pulp, and I can taste a little bit of the tannins in this that I didn't before, but that helps to round it out a little bit. It gives it a little bite. When you first put it in your mouth, immediately you get that tart cherry immediately, and then as it sits for a little bit, it starts to get sweeter, and then the finish is nice and clean, nothing big,
Yeah.
and then it has that little bit of the tannic. It's not as tannic as some things. It's not like swallowing sandpaper.
It's
but
kind of that astringent.
It's an astringent, just final little
almost
bit. At
almost
the end.
like you get when you drink tea.
Yeah, not even that much though.
Right.
It's a little weaker than like a black tea astringency.
Yeah.
Yeah. This came out much better than I thought it was going to. For those who are wondering, what I added to it. Okay, we did the original 5-gallon fermentation, which was like 3 gallons really, and that had 2 packages of cherries in it. And I'm trying to think of what size the packages were.
Here's
they?
where I
They weren't
was
12 pounds.
trying to
They
come
were
up
like
with what
5
we did,
pounds, right?
and I had no idea.
Yeah, it was 5 pounds of cherries in each. So there's 10 pounds of cherries, and roughly
Yeah, the umbrellas are actually like, I think they're 4-foot umbrellas. They're fairly big. They're on purpose because the larger the light source and the closer it is to the subject, the softer the lighting. It gets rid of all these little wrinkles. That's why we look so much younger now. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I think, I don't know, you'd have to watch the video, but I think it was 4 pounds of honey made into like a 3-gallon batch altogether. Okay, just the way it came out. That sat
got
for
everything
weeks,
wrong in
like
this.
4 or 5 weeks. Then I strained out the cherries. That's when I tasted it and wasn't real happy. So I put more cherries in at that point and let it sit. I put 5 more pounds of cherries in it and let it sit
3 more
again.
pounds.
Now those cherries, I don't think they fermented so much, maybe a little tiny bit, but not a lot. That sat for another 2 to 3 weeks. Then I removed actually it was even longer, it was like 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I strained that again, and I was
those moments
happier
that I should
with
just
it,
shut
which gave
up.
me the idea, okay, instead of buying all these
Just
frozen cherries,
in the
because now
video,
that's
I should just stop
15
talking.
pounds of cherries. I said, let's get some cherry juice and see what happens. Now, because I remembered seeing tart on the bags
Yeah,
of cherries,
like
I
that.
got tart cherry juice. Had I really thought about it, I would have got sweet cherry juice, because that would have made this a sweeter mead. So when I put that cherry juice,
So Adam mentioned the "let it sit" catchphrase. That just kind of happened. I don't know if anybody realizes it. I now prompt her to say it, but there was just one video, I don't even know which one it was. We'll find out if we do more of these watch parties, where I just said, so what are we going to do now? And she went, we're going to let it sit. And I was like, you know what? That's awesome. We're going to use that. And from there forward, we started just adding that to our videos. That's how a lot of stuff happens, where it just kind of happened. So we went with it, and that's it. And yeah, Derica's right. She's explaining where all the lights are and stuff. We ought to do a behind the scenes again. We haven't shown that in a while.
juice in, we tried it immediately before I let it sit for a while, and went, okay, when you think tart,
Now it works. And that was the key. It was a psychological difference. You had to think tart cherries, not sweet cherries. And that was a few weeks ago.
I'm glad we didn't put a score on this, because if you have to convince your brain that something is what it is rather than just taste it and say, oh, this is good, it's probably not going to be a very high score. The first Viking's Blood, to me, I didn't think was all that great. If I had to put a score on it, remembering what I remember it as at this point, it was a 4. It really wasn't all that hot. It was not that great to me. One Punch Hutch. Right now, I'm actually just using the Twitch Studio, their own beta. I am going to look into OBS Labs, just because I heard that that's a really good one. But right now, I'm just using the Twitch Studio. It's just the software that Twitch themselves offer. I literally started using Twitch this morning, so this is more a practice session for me than it is really much of anything else. But I do love the fact that so many of you guys came in to watch. This is really cool.
I let it sit in the carboys that way for a while, in the actual fermenter for a couple weeks, and then I just bottled it recently, and it's been sitting in the bottle now for 3 weeks, give or take, 2-3 weeks, something like that. So this is really the first time we've tried it since then. I have to say, I enjoy it a lot more now than the first time. It has 0 foot smell, and that's going to be my new measuring stick whenever I do a tasting. How much foot does it have?
I need to replay that. That was awesome. Oh, that was great. I forgot all about that. I did not even know I did it.
My new measuring stick whenever I do a tasting. How much foot does it have? I like that. Anyway, so this came out really, really good.
That's awesome.
Anybody that has any questions on the methodology, I know it's kind of convoluted and it was weird and I didn't record all of it, and I'm sorry. Life gets in the way sometimes. And I honestly, because I wasn't happy with it, I was pretty much hoping it would just go away and people would ignore it. Meanwhile, this video now has 24,000 views. So,
actually, see where it says 32,000 views on that video? Today, I believe it's like 850,000 views on that video. So it's come up in the world. Just, you know what? Let me find out now that we're sitting here talking about it. Let me look that up. Let me find it here. Pardon my typing. Not that one. 799,000 views on this video right now, on the original video. How cool is that? We're not bringing back the foot scale because it emphasizes an aspect of mead that's bad, and it's something that can be actually worked on by making it a little bit of a better mead. So I'd much rather not focus on that because it's something that is preventable. So I really don't want to push a negative thing, even though it was kind of funny at the time.
It was something that people are interested in, so I thought, okay, let's do this. I may do it again someday. I might make another one and do it a little cleaner, a little better, and use a slightly different methodology and come out with a better product. There's also talk of, you know, in the beginning of the Viking Blood video, I said, this is not Viking Blood, and I held up the bottle and all that. Well, I know how to make that stuff too. I mean, it's hibiscus and, you know, it has some other stuff. Well, we grow hibiscus in the backyard, and I'm planning to grow some hops for next year. So it's entirely possible that I might make our own version of the hibiscus hopped mead just to see what it's like and do it our own way. Do it with...
And if only I knew there was ginger in it, it might have actually come out more like theirs. Also, they use a different kind of hibiscus. I was unaware there was various kinds, but they used a totally different kind, one that didn't have as much color as ours.
Our ingredients, stuff that we grew at home. Maybe I'll even source the honey locally and get cherry, or not, it's not cherries anymore. Now it's just hibiscus and yeah. Anyway, source the mead.
So that would have been edited out today.
Source the honey, because we know somebody who's a beekeeper, and see if maybe we can make a small batch of that, just a gallon or two. Because I tried the Viking Blood, and the first time I tried it, I went, this is okay. Then the second time I tried it, I went, I don't like this. Then the third time I tried it, it started out as, I don't like this at all, but by the time that bottle was empty, I kind of liked it. 19% alcohol will do that for you. Anyway, anything else you want to say?
The my final note on this is that I get an interesting sensation that I don't get with most alcohols, and I attribute that a lot to the tart cherry. Is that as I'm drinking it, the first sensation is the tartness, and it hits me right in the cheeks. And then as I let it stay in my mouth a little bit longer, the alcohol starts to affect my tongue. So
yeah, it might be a little stronger than 10.
I get physical sensations
Yeah, I think I
along
figured
with
out
the
this is more
aroma
like
and the
14.
flavor sensation. So that's kind of interesting to me.
Here's my final word. It's just really good. Try it for yourself. If you try making this and you start running into troubles, feel free. Contact us through YouTube. We also have our website. We've had a few people email direct from there. Feel free. I try to respond to them as quickly as possible. Sometimes it might take a couple days. I mean, we do actually have jobs and do other things for a living for now. But someday we hope to be able to do this for a living.
Hey, you see that? We said we do other things for a living, but someday we hope to do this. At the time that we did this, I was like, there is no freaking way we're ever going to be able to do this for a living. And here we are, just 2.5 years later. This is what we do for a living now. And, talking to you guys and stuff. Like, I'm working right now. I'm working here. Anyway.
But that's a long way off. Anyway, but we try to answer whatever questions everybody has. We try to keep up with everything. And keep them coming. Keep the comments coming. If you have suggestions for stuff you want to see me make, ask away. If I don't know how to do it, I'll do the research and figure it out and make it for you. And tell you how I did it, give you all the ingredients along the way. Anyway, thank you again so much. We just recently did a video where we thanked everybody for the number of subscribers, and I want to say it again. We're up to almost 1,300 subscribers.
Okay, wait a minute. We did our 1,000 subscriber special and like 4 people watched it. It's really funny. But I just thanked everybody for 1,300 subscribers. Wow, that brings back some serious memories because we just broke 100,000 subscribers like a week and a half ago. By the way, our play button is approved and it's in the mail. But this is just awesome to watch some of these old videos. I haven't seen them in so long. This is really cool.
In just a few months, and man, we couldn't be happier. This is just awesome. The experience of doing this, we've learned so much. Hopefully, we're giving you guys a little bit of an education, and hopefully entertaining you at the same time. I mean, that's half the battle. If we're boring, nobody's going to want to watch, right?
If you found this video informational, please give us a like. And
Actually, no. If you liked the video, give us a like. It might not have been too informational. Anyway. Sorry.
Subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and hit that bell icon so that you'll be notified as soon as we get a new video up for you. And again, thank you.
Have a great day. Bye, guys.
Wow. That's how we ended videos back then, huh? That's just crazy. Okay, so I could go a little more. Anybody want to watch another video? I mean, we could watch let me think. What can we do? We could either do the 1 year of this. English. More! We could either do the 1 year of Viking Blood or the 1,000 sub special. What does everybody want to do? So 1 year Viking Blood or 1,000 subscriber special. I'll try to find them while you guys are doing that. 1 year. Got 1 vote on the 1 year. 2 votes for 1 year. 1 year. One Punch Hutch. Thanks so much. That's awesome to hear. I love it when people say things like that.
People were afraid I was contagious. I felt gross.
It was kind of a shock after I started Cosentec.
Sorry, just trying to get past the ads here for you guys. Oh, God. All right, we got the 1 year all ready to go. We ready? This was supposed to be one video, and it's turned into 1 hour and 15 minutes so far. But this is fun. I'm enjoying this. This is great. Are we ready? Oh boy. So the kitchen has changed yet again. If you look over here, There's a new rack there that is actually still there, instead of the water cooler. Yeah, it is one video for Twitch. You're right. But I've seen Twitch streams that were like 9 and 10 hours. That's insane. How do people do that? I'm okay. I probably could actually talk for 9 or 10 hours. Who am I kidding? I could do it. Anyway, we ready to go? Everybody ready? Need somebody to tell me they're ready, or I'm not going to hit play. Oh yeah, the brew like a Viking, not like a chemist t-shirt. All right, here we go, guys.
Just when you thought it was safe to make more mead, Viking Blood is back.
Are you serious? That's how we started that video? And the audio is horrible. What the heck happened? Here we go. Just recently I brought this song back as our intro. Started using it again on the Brew channel, just because I like this song. 48 hours? Oh, God. By the way, do you know why we don't do intros anymore? Because people click off. People who aren't familiar with your channel click off. They don't care. None of this matters to them. So that's why we actually stopped doing them. And yes, that is a very fancy label, I'll have you know. I do love this intro. I thought this was one of the best ones.
Hi, I'm Brian.
I'm Jerica, and we're continuing with Vikings Blood Week. And this
Oh, there we go.
is the Piece de la Resistance.
So that was the problem. We were using an audio recorder and separate mic by this point, and apparently the audio recorder didn't work. So we had to use the internal audio, and I wasn't any good at audio editing at this time, so it was just straight up the way it was. So I apologize. It sucks, but we'll get through it together, you know, because you're all here, and we're gonna watch it anyway. Turn it up a little bit.
There's no look in there,
Oh,
but it's okay.
okay.
You speak American. I get it.
Barely.
I don't know, you do a better job than I do sometimes. Anyway, this is Viking Blood, 1 year later. Now, we did a tasting on this already. It was a year ago, and everybody says, oh, let it age, let it age, let it age. So we thought, let it age. We had 2 bottles left, so we got 1 out.
It
Has
is a
not
big
been
bud.
touched in
32
a year.
ounces.
And on the label it says, Tart Cherry Viking's Blood, July 13th, 2018, 10%-ish. We did so much stuff to this, I really don't know. And we just thought, let's give this a shot, find out if it's any different. And since this is the second official, no, this is the last day, forget I said that, this is the last day of Viking Blood Week.
It's been a crazy week.
We actually did a Viking Blood week where we just did a whole bunch of Viking Blood stuff. I was thinking like Shark Week on Discovery or whatever channel does that. It didn't take off as much as I'd hoped. By the way, nice look, Derica. That's awesome. That screenshot right there. Check it out, guys. Look at that. She's probably like, Bri, get that off the screen. Hit play. Hit play. All right, I will.
What can we say?
We thought, what better way to end it than by taste testing the 1 year ago. Now also, people have been giving me a hard time about the way I open.
Now
these
remember.
bottles. Yeah. There's a reason why I do it the way I do it. When I put my hand here, yes, it hurts my fingers, but I have a hand up here. So if I do this, the only way that it's safe is if I go like this. This could be dangerous. Beware.
Yay!
Not too bad. I think there might have just been
There
a little
was-
bit of
There was a little release
a little
there.
bit of off-gassing.
But it wasn't an eruption.
Yeah, you shouldn't drink this.
See, I poured for her first again.
Always pour for the lady first.
So if you are on our Facebook group, and I know I sound like a broken record about the Facebook group, but it is so huge and so active.
Okay, this is the Facebook group that doesn't exist anymore, guys. Sorry.
And there's so many cool people in there, and our moderators are the best. You may have seen our moderator Paul
Oh!
share his glorious yet very sad video of one of his beverages just erupting.
Oh yeah,
Yes, we
that
do.
was
And
actually
so-
really funny. It looked like a meme.
Whenever we open something that's been sitting for a while, we're not sure what's going on in there, I always envision Paul.
All the wise.
So Paul, here's to you.
We're not drinking it.
This
First-
color is gorgeous.
You know what's interesting though? I see a slight amount of particulates suspended in this, which is unusual. I wasn't expecting that. But the color is really amazing. It's got that lovely dark cherry color.
Gem-like.
Yeah, little bits and pieces. Nothing to worry about. I mean, if you weren't looking for it, you wouldn't notice it. But you know, I look for.
I think he's making stuff up.
The smell is totally cherry
It's-
and honey.
Okay, I have a question, and Adam probably knows the answer to this. Why does everybody have different colors on their thing? Like some people are green, some are orange, some are yellow. How did people get a different color? Are you doing that, Adam? Is that something you did? Because I have... Oh, it's just random. Oh. Well, that's weird, because it's really distracting, and I'm not sure who does what. But anyway. Twitch gives you the option of color. Oh, okay. So you can do it yourself. Gotcha.
It's glorious. It is just.
It smells thick.
It does. It smells.
If something could smell
Look at the
thick,
screen
this
going in and
this
out.
smells
That's our
thick.
old
You know
camera.
how,
It used to hunt
Like
focus.
a syrupy liqueur has
It's very heady,
is a very
rich.
distinctive scent. That's what this smells like. And I could just smell it and be perfectly
I'm gonna taste it.
fine.
Anyway, no, before I taste it, on the smell, I get a little bit of the sharp note from the alcohol.
Yep.
Very mild, really. Definitely a lot of fruit, dark fruit, like
You guys have
obviously
terrible
cherry,
colors.
but it's more than cherry.
It's
I'm
like
getting
going
plum
into
even.
plum version.
Yeah, and the honey is very prominent. There's a lot of honey note to
Yeah.
the smell. That's kind of surprising.
And it's interesting
It
smelling
smells a lot
it.
better than it did a year ago.
There's something about the scent that reminds me of, and I hate to even bring it up, but our Bochet.
If you say so.
It might be the combination
The
of
Bochet was
the
kind of a-
cherry and the honey that makes that
Not a
really
good thing to bring up at that time.
strong honey scent
Mm.
that's almost cooked, but not. It's not cooked because we
I'm
didn't cook
going
it.
to taste this. Taste it.
Not yet.
Taste it.
Focus, focus, focus. There we go.
It's completely different than it was a year ago. Nothing like what it was a year ago.
It doesn't taste syrupy at all.
No, it actually tastes almost thin. I hate to say that, but it almost does.
It's-
It will,
it's
Swifty.
got-
The real Swifty. It will get there.
It's definitely got the tannins from the cherries because this was made from actual cherries. You can
We
feel
don't have
it.
any of
It's
this
like
left, by the way.
tangible
This
on
is
your
gone.
tongue. It's
Yeah,
makes your tongue kind of tingly.
it's really interesting. There's an astringent quality to it that I'm attributing to the tart cherries that almost gives a cranberry.
Almost.
It reminds me of that, though it doesn't really taste like cranberry. It reminds me
No.
of that, though it doesn't really. It's not very honey forward in the flavor, though. It's almost like things have melded so much that you can't differentiate the flavors anymore. It's definitely a tart cherry. This is dry, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
This did not come out sweet at all. This is like bone dry, which is not my preferred way to have meads.
This
Christina.
the aroma is completely different from the flavor,
Yeah,
which is really surprising.
I hate to say it, but I think it smells better than it tastes.
It does smell better than it tastes, but it does not.
But if I had a box right next to my computer and I can send out samples to everybody, they wouldn't have to make their own. That kind of defeats the purpose. Although it is a neat idea. Beam me the booze, Scotty.
Taste unpleasant. It's just when you smell it, you're like, oh, this is going to be just this thick, sweet,
It's smooth.
syrupy thing, and no, it is not.
Yeah, it's very smooth. It's got a little tingle on the tongue. And there's more sweetness here than I would have thought. I mean, it definitely came around,
Oh, yeah.
and the sweetness seemed to have come back. But it doesn't taste like honey sweetness.
I'm curious. I think I might enjoy this better chilled.
Yeah, we're drinking this warm. If this was cold, I bet you we would really like it.
And
It's very, very, very much a red wine.
yeah.
That is the easiest way to describe it. Like just go to the store, buy a red grape wine. This will be reminiscent of that. Okay. What I mean by that is it doesn't necessarily.
Okay. Somebody just said, oh, Slacksuman? Worst I made was banana wine. Tasted like rotten fruit, smelled just as bad. Best I made was peach wine. Alright, I can't make a peach wine that ever tasted good. And I made 2 banana wines at least that were awesome. I would like to make a peach wine. I have one aging. It's about 2 years old now, and I'm afraid to taste it. One of these days I'm going to yank that sucker out and give it a taste. But, yeah, I'm kind of worried about it.
This is one of the things with good mead and high quality mead is it's wine. It tastes like wine. So the fact that this comes out tasting a lot like store-bought wines, I take that as a good thing.
I can see this chilled and paired with like lamb with the mint sauce, or
A big honking steak.
Brian's always gonna go for the steak.
Gotta have the steak.
Any excuse
Or
that he can have for eating steak.
Actually,
he's having.
a burger. This would go good with a burger.
Burgers are
Big old
gourmet
pile of
food.
fries.
Don't forget it.
Steak fries. Oh, we had steak still.
But I want caramelized onion on my burger.
You can have caramelized onions. You can have them in your burger, you can have them on your burger, and you can have them in buns. You know why? Because we make all that stuff ourselves.
We do.
But, okay, if I was to give this a rating, a score, 10 being
We did
the
scores?
absolute most amazing brew I've ever
I don't think
tasted,
we were
blah, blah,
officially
blah,
doing
and 0
scores
being
yet.
like sucking on 30 gym socks. Okay. I'm going to put this at like a 7 to 8. I mean, this is good. This is actually really nice. It's
Onion wine is for cooking. It's probably not something that you'd want to drink. I've heard horror stories about it. People make it for cooking. Mushroom wine too, Paul.
not what I expected, which is not a bad thing, but I was actually expecting a much more, oh yeah, that's cherry and that's honey. I was totally expecting that based on the smell. It's not. It's much more complex than that. It's got a lot more going for it. You have almost a light fruit from the cranberry to a dark fruit from the plum in the same note. And then there's this sweetness that comes through, but then you have the little bit of a mouth puckering tannin feel. It's like, wow. I mean, your dad would say, it's a party in my mouth.
Yeah.
Terry would say
There's
that.
a lot going on, and don't let my initial response sway you. This tastes much better than I thought it was going to.
I think if
'Cause I
you
didn't like it.
enjoy dry wines
Yeah.
more than we do, you may find this even more enjoyable. As I said before, I think pairing it with food would be really interesting because I've learned to enjoy wines
Yeah.
with food tremendously. There's some dishes that if I can't have wine with it, I don't want to eat it because to me the experience of drinking.
Anybody else catch that? There's some foods that if I don't have wine with it, I won't want to eat it. I have yet, in the 12 years that I have known her, I have yet to hear her actually say, nope, I'm not going to eat this because I don't have wine to go with it.
Drinking the wine and then eating the food elevates the flavors and opens your palate to be more receptive to what's in the food.
But you wouldn't eat it if you didn't have wine?
I lie. I would eat pretty much anything
There
but
it
put in
is,
front of
there
me
it is.
because
Like,
it's
no.
yum.
But also, when do we not have wine in house?
There you go. So see, I don't really have to worry about
Usually
that so
reds.
much. Yes.
Don't do a lot of whites.
People like to make fun of me for the red wine thing. I like red better. Red and black are two of my favorite colors, okay?
So this may lead us to another video where Brian gets his steak and I get more Viking's blood.
That has a possibility. We had not actually considered that yet. But we should. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Make some Vikings blood and have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Did anybody else notice that that was the start of the thanks for watching and have a great day and Derica says bye-bye? We did that for like 2 years and then stopped doing it. And no one even noticed. It was really weird. Alright, so guess what? This 20-minute to 30-minute stream has now gone to an hour and a half. I'm talking about black and red. You happen to be wearing the black and red. That's right. I'm wearing the black and red Odin's Brewery t-shirt. Yes. Anyway, before I call this the end of the stream, anybody have any questions? Anything they want to say? Got a couple more minutes, and then we're going to say goodbye. I don't know what kind of a delay there is on this. Sigurd, yes, this is going to happen more often. We're trying to, maybe we'll revisit some of the older videos and look at them again and try to get them over to Twitch. We are eventually trying to become partners with Twitch and see what we can do there. I mean, who knows? Maybe this could be a new thing and a lot more fun. If we can figure it out, we might do like live brewing sessions, which would be really hard to do, but we're going to try it anyway. And look at Adam, just plugging everything. That's so awesome. Adam, you're hysterical. And thank you so much. Everybody give Adam a round of applause for being our moderator. I don't think he had to even pull one comment, though. I think everybody was, like, perfect. There was, like, no issues whatsoever. No one... no one had a problem. No one was a jerk. Nobody did anything they weren't supposed to do. Everybody was just really cool. And that makes this very worthwhile to me. I can't wait to do this again. I think this is a lot of fun. And I'm hoping that I did things right and that Twitch saves this video. And there's a possibility that I'll actually upload this to YouTube so that you got people that didn't see it before can watch this again. And I don't know if the comments stay or how that works, so we'll find out. But it could be very cool. Okay, the Real Swifty. Is it okay to add more yeast if the brew stops producing alcohol with much sugar left? Yeah, normally. But you want to be careful because if it's stalled, there's probably a reason. So you may need to add a higher tolerance yeast. Sometimes just adding another yeast won't work. One Punch Hutch. Yeah, the trolls don't usually show up at the beginning. No, it'll take a little while, I'm sure. Are you going to make more wine that are kind of different? Different how? What do you mean by different? I like to think everything we make is different. This is a really bad angle on this camera. I'm going to have to move it. I don't like it. Not the norm for say, but it might be okay. 1100 to 1070 in 4 weeks. Yeah, you might want to add more yeast and give that a try. Yes, Adam has his troll whacking stick. English 112112. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do with it yet. Some Twitch streams will probably be for VIPs only. Others will be open. This one is actually open. I put it up on the community tab for all of our subscribers to see. I think it's just an odd time of day, so a lot of people are working. But yeah, we're going to be playing around with some brews, do some different stuff. I can't really say what we're going to get into, but there's interesting things coming. Best I can say. But anyway, I want to thank you all for showing up. I want to thank... that would be my spiced methagon. Best brewer I ever made. I'm going to call this video coming to an end. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for coming. And if you have any further questions, feel free to leave questions on our channel on YouTube. And we will be sure to try to answer them in a timely manner. People are still asking questions. Sorry, guys. I really have to get going. As far as any good books, we don't actually use books for recipes. I've read a few and wasn't all that impressed with them, so we pretty much come up with our own. Anyway, guys, as I keep starting to try to say, Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, have a good day.